The ATR42 is a twin-engined, short to medium-haul aircraft capable of carrying between 46 and 60 passengers, depending on the model type. The ATR42 is built in Toulouse by GIE ATR. Listed here are some details regarding its certification. The aircraft is powered by two Pratt & Whitney 120 engines. The aircraft is speed limited to a VMO of 230 knots, an MMO of 0.55 Mach, and a cruise true airspeed of 265 knots in ISA conditions. Assuming a flight level of 200 and a weight of 15,000 kilograms, the fuel consumption is 240 kilograms per hour per engine, or 2 kilograms per nautical mile. During one engine operation at flight level 100 and a weight of 15,000 kilograms, the fuel consumption is 360 kilograms per hour, or 1.8 kilograms per nautical mile. The ATR42 is capable of pressurized flight up to 25,000 feet. The normal cabin differential pressure is 6.00 psi, and the maximum differential pressure is 6.35 psi. Now let's look at some other details regarding the flight envelope of the aircraft. The maximum cruising altitude is 25,000 feet. Using the graph, what are the maximum and minimum allowable temperatures for takeoff, assuming the runway is at sea level? To summarize, the ATR42 can attain a maximum altitude of 25,000 feet and can take off and land with an outside air temperature of between -40 and +52 degrees Celsius. Listed here are the weight limitations for the ATR42 for taxiing, takeoff, landing, and the maximum zero fuel weight. The load factor limitations for flap retracted is between -1 and 2.5 G, and for flaps extended the range is between 0 and 2 G, and when the gear is down, between 0 and 2 G. Now we are going to study the dimensions of the aircraft. See if you can guess which part of the ATR42 each of the listed dimensions refers to. Here is a diagram of the ATR42 fully dimensioned. One last dimension. The minimum runway width needed for a 180-degree turn is 17.75 meters. Now we'll look at the layout of the fuselage. Shown here are 5 different versions of the ATR42. The main difference between them is the number of passengers and the size of the cargo compartment. The aircraft fuselage is of semi-monocoque construction and comprises the nose section, flight deck, forward cargo compartment, passenger cabin, aft cargo compartment, and a non-pressurized zone. The electronics rack is located behind the captain's seat, while the electrics rack is located behind the first officer's seat. Antennas are externally mounted on the fuselage for VHF COM 1 and 2, VHF NAV 1 and 2, DME 1 and 2, marker, ADF 1 and 2, radio altimeter, and ATC transponder. The weather radar is located in the nose cone. The glide slope antenna is located just under the weather radar, and finally, the emergency locator antenna is located just forward of the tail section. The ATR42 flight controls are equipped with extending horns to ease control of the aircraft. Touch each of the listed flight control horns and move them to the appropriate box next to the aircraft. Shown here are all of the flight controls and their associated horns. Spoilers located on each wing enable more efficient roll control. These and other flight controls will be discussed in detail in the lesson Flight Controls. Inflatable rubber wing and tail de-icing boots are recessed into the leading edges of the wings and tail section. The operation of the de-icing boots will be discussed in the ice and rain protection lesson. Do you remember what type of engines are fitted on the ATR42? The engines are fitted with Hamilton Standard 14 SF5 propellers. In normal operation, on takeoff, these engines produce 1,800 shaft horsepower at 92% torque. In the case of an engine failure during takeoff, the reserve takeoff power is 2,000 shaft horsepower at 100% torque. The engine itself comprises a low-pressure spool, a high-pressure spool, and a two-stage power turbine. The two-stage turbine drives a four-bladed propeller via a reduction gearbox. The engine accessories are mounted on an accessory gearbox, and the accessory gearbox is driven by the high-pressure spool. The ATR42 flight controls are equipped with extending horns to ease control of the aircraft. Touch each of the listed flight control horns and move The controls and indicators on the flight deck are located on the main instrument panel, overhead panel, glare shield, side panels, and the pedestal. Touch each of the panels to find out more. The glare shield panel contains various navigation instruments. The center panel contains the engine instruments. The captain's and first officer's panels contain mainly flight and navigation instruments. The pedestal is divided into three sections. The forward section houses the EFIS and weather radar control panels. The center section contains the engine controls, and the aft section comprises the communications panels. The maintenance panels are located on the captain's and first officer's side panels. The overhead panel contains system controls and indicators. Now we'll look at the cabin layout. Do you remember the maximum number of seats allowable in the cabin? Can you locate the forward and aft cargo compartments? There is one lavatory located aft. A galley is located opposite the main entry, and the flight attendant's seat is situated at the end of the aisle. Note that the flight attendant's control panel is located just above the attendant's seat. Passenger service units are located just below the passenger stowage compartments. The passenger service units contain the loudspeakers, reading lights, call button, no smoking, and fasten seatbelt signs. We'll use the engine bleed panel located on the overhead panel as an example. The ATR42 flight deck is designed in line with the dark cockpit philosophy. So, when systems are operating in their normal state, associated push buttons and annunciators remain blank. If a fault appears in a system, the associated push-button fault light illuminates to draw crew attention to the system. Touch the push button indicating a fault and observe the result. When an amber fault light appears, depressing the associated push button turns the system off and a white annunciation is displayed. In this example, the white annunciation means the engine bleed system is off. This chart summarizes the status indicated by the push buttons. We'll discuss this chart in more detail in the lesson on CCAS. To recap and confirm your understanding of the dark cockpit philosophy, which panel shows the engine bleed system operating normally? The ATR42 is equipped with a passenger door, a service door, and a cargo door. In addition to the doors, there are 3 hatches. The crew hatch enables emergency evacuation from the flight deck. An avionics hatch allows ground crew access to the avionics compartment, and a cockpit communication hatch enables the captain to talk with the ground crew. There are also 2 plug-type emergency exits located on each side of the fuselage. The passenger door is located on the left side of the aircraft and opens outwards under the force of gravity. As the door opens, the integrated stairs and handrail deploy automatically. A spring ensures a smooth deployment of the stairs. The last step is protected by a rubber ground support. An emergency light is located in the last step. The light illuminates the ground around the last step. Touch the cargo door to find out more. The cargo door is an outward opening door hinged on its top edge and opened from the outside. A lock strut maintains the cargo door in the open position and protects the door from gusts of wind. An air vent opens automatically as soon as the door is unlocked. The service door is outward opening and locks open against the fuselage. To open the service door from outside, turn the handle through 90 degrees clockwise and pull the door open until it locks against the fuselage. To open the service door from inside, simply move the handle to the left and push the door open. The crew hatch is located in the cockpit roof and is opened by pulling down on the handle. The hatch is hinged forward and opens inwards. There are two plug-type emergency exits. These can be opened from inside or outside the aircraft. The door panel is located on the overhead panel. It indicates the status of all the doors. If, for example, the cargo door is not locked, this is indicated by the cargo light illuminating amber, the amber door light on the CCAS panel, and the master caution push button flashes amber. Next, you will learn how to open the cargo door from outside the aircraft. Pay attention, because you are going to have to close it again. So, first push the flap and pull lever 1 fully down. Next, pull lever 2 fully down. Open the flap to access the cargo door control panel and press the Open selector. Wait until the door is completely open before releasing the selector button. Ensure that the selector returns to the neutral position. Finally, the folding strut locks itself. To close the cargo door is the same routine, but in reverse. See if you can match up the steps. The flight crew control the following light systems: cockpit lighting, cabin signs, exterior lighting, and emergency lighting from their position in the cockpit. The cabin attendant controls the cabin lighting, emergency lighting, and the rear cargo compartment lighting. External lights are controlled from the exterior lighting panel located on the overhead panel. Select the different external lighting switches to see their effect. Flight deck lighting is controlled from several different panels. From the flight compartment lighting panel, you can control the dome lights, standby compass light, and the storm lights. The storm lights provide stronger lighting for the main instrument panel and pedestal. The lighting panel is located on the pedestal. It controls the instrument integral illumination. The instrument rotary selector controls the activation and intensity of the main instrument integral panel lights. The display rotary selector controls the activation and intensity of all of the digit lighting. The panel rotary selector knob controls the integral instrument lights on the glare shield, pedestal and overhead panels. Now, select the different lighting controls to see their effect. The annunciation lighting panel is located on the overhead panel. It allows you to check and control the intensity of the annunciation lights. The floodlight and recorder panel is located on the pedestal. The flood knob allows you to activate and control the intensity of the pedestal floodlight and the two main instrument floodlights. The console and reading light switches are located on the captain's and first officer's switch panels. The console light illuminates the console. The reading light knobs activate the respective reading spotlight. The signs panel is located on the overhead panel. Select the no smoking signs. The no smoking light illuminates in blue. Select the fasten seatbelts signs. There are several indications. The fasten seatbelt sign illuminates in the cabin, the return to seat sign illuminates in the toilet, and the fasten seatbelt light illuminates in blue on the memo panel. Lastly, the minimum cabin lighting switch is located on the overhead panel. You select the minimum cabin lighting in the event of a dual DC generator failure. When selected, every other light is illuminated on the right side of the cabin. That's all for flight deck lighting, but here are some questions to check your knowledge. First, from which panel do you control the dome lights? Where is the pedestal floodlight located? Where do you adjust the digit lighting? Touch each of the switches to see their effect. The emergency lighting controls are located on the flight attendants panel and the signs panel. Do you remember where the signs panel is located? The signs panel is located on the overhead panel. On the right of the panel is the emergency exit light selector switch. The selector is a 3-position switch. The different emergency lighting is shown here. Select the different emergency exit switch positions to find out more about their function. In the arm position, the emergency lights come on if a dual generator failure occurs and the DC emergency bus is below 18 volts. The on position activates all of the evacuation path markings and the exit lights. The disarm light comes on when the emergency exit lights are deactivated. The disarm position is the normal position with batteries switched off. Note selection of emergency lighting on the flight attendant switch panel overrides crew switching. What is the normal switching position before the pre-flight check? One last point. Remember that the batteries are charged by the DC emergency bus and that their capacity is 10 minutes.